Let's go. Super excited for this next panel, everyone. Let's give it up. All right. Yeah, it's a good audience right there. So yeah, just going to give a quick 40-minute panel. Sit tight and enjoy. It's going to be really exciting, talking about building engaged NFT communities. You know, how do you get people involved, continuing to stay engaged? How do you bring utility to these NFTs? How do you keep people interested when there's all these NFTs popping up, all these different communities all around the world? How do you figure out which one's best? How do you decide between them? And how do you make them really, really encouraging and exciting for people to engage with and use and sell and buy and all that good stuff? So I'll let them take it from there. I'll let them introduce themselves. And yeah, let's give it up. Woo!
Woo! Amazing. Welcome, BlockDown. My name is V. Ray. I'm a consultant that focuses primarily on go-to-market strategies, business development, and experience design. I worked with BlockDown on experience design for this festival, and I'll pass it along to my lovely panelists.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm Bobby. I'm working for VR Future. We're a VR film company based out of Istanbul. We have an NFT project which we sold out in February. We've also got a film in development with BlockDown Festival, and we're creating a game for the Oculus store for our community who own our NFT. That's us, yeah. And I'm the community manager and lead for the project, so I'm here repping our team and our community today.
Hi guys, David Chapman, or KBL online, the founder of an NFT project called Kusama Kingdom, and I'm also the principal at a Web3 VC fund called Silvermine Capital.
Woo! I felt like I needed to do that. Is my mic working? Yes, it is. So I'm Nikki. I do social. Thank you. Was that you, Ryan? Woo! I do social and community for the Flower Girls NFT. We sold out in December, pretty quick. We've got a really lovely community, and yeah, just here for the vibes and the UK panel today.
Yeah.
Team UK.
Apart from V, obviously.
Yes. So yeah, I think a big question everyone is probably very curious about is what projects you're most bullish on.
Mine.
That's an easy answer.
Go on.
I think it's getting harder at the moment and stuff to really find projects, especially in the NFT space. There's a lot of hype, and some of that's starting to wear off, and that comes with it a lot of FUD. So it gets harder and harder to find genuine projects. Like whitelist spots now don't mean you can instantly buy it and flip it. You have to have a bit more of a hat on and think these things through. So I think it's hard. I'm bullish on any project that's innovating and doing something different and bringing other stuff to the table. And that's basically it. And I think followers, and I think projects that are buying followers and things like that are ones to avoid, and you can kind of tell that with their engagement. But things like these guys are doing with the VR stuff is innovative and it's new, and looking for things like that, I think, is the best bet long term.
I mean, there's like a new project out every day, thousands of them. So it's whatever catches my eye first, and my strategy is that I'll buy like a few of them so that I can maybe regain my profits from the first one, hold another one if it goes up, and then hold one forever to see where it goes. So that's sort of like my strategy when it comes to projects anyway. But it's what shows up and what interests me mostly. I mean, I'm a photographer as well, and I like photography projects. And there's a photographer I really enjoy who photographs. He's a photographer from the grunge scene from '90s, and he's selling his work from 20-odd years ago. So I'm bullish on that kind of thing. That's not PFP, but it's like one-of-one stuff. So there's that too. And then PFPs, like I said, it's as and when it comes up and what catches my eye.
Yeah, I mean, at the Flower Girls, not to do a shameless show, but obviously I am, we are big on charity and giving back. So we give 20% to children's charities. We've done quite a lot of work for Save the Children UK. So for me, I quite like to find a project that has that little bit extra to it, is giving back, has that extra sort of utility, because that's something that not just the team, but the community they really value that as well, the charity aspect and using everything and the community for good. So that's something that would make me a little bit bullish. But obviously, yeah, Flower Girls, NFT, they're the ones. And anything that our artist Bavara LA does as well. shout outs there.
Yeah, makes total sense. And I guess I'm very curious about any major life hacks you've learned in the process of building these engaged communities. Anything that you feel like y'all are doing differently that maybe some other projects haven't learned yet?
Yes. I sang in Twitter Spaces, which basically got my... I sang... I was in a community for the Apocalyptic Apes for about a month, and I started to play my guitar and sing in the spaces, which then the founder of VR Future heard me sing, and I'd already approached them saying I would love to work with you guys because I was really bullish on their project. I mean, I've been in VR films myself as an actor years ago, and I connected with that. So I was like, right, I need to get involved with that project. And so when I was singing in the space, Faz, the founder of the project, heard me sing, and he was like, that's the guy, because he's a big Pearl Jam fan. So like singing in there, just being human, connecting with people, and like bringing whatever talent or like just you as a person. Like that's the thing. It's like everyone got into NFTs through Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces because we'd lacked connection from the COVID situation. So being able to connect with people from the heart and like really make some friends. I mean, if you can socialize through those spaces, that's how I've life hacked it and got through the past like 6 months. And I've been in the space since February last year, and it was always the same for the whole year. So yeah, make friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And I think my advice to anyone who's going out or wanting to start their own project now is you don't have to go for Ethereum or Solana or Polygon and the big ones and try and do a 10K collection. Our one's on Kusama, which is like a really smaller ecosystem. There's like 5,000 wallets total on the NFT platform where we sell. But that allows you to do smaller connections. You can kind of feel it out a bit more, and you can make those real connections. Like as a founder, you can speak to any one of the holders one-on-one and build those relationships. And like you say, everyone wants to be a part of something, whether that's in real life or online. And NFTs allow people to come to these spaces where they may not, their in real life friends may not get what they're talking about with NFTs and stuff. So if you can create an environment where people love to come and love to interact with each other in a genuine way and don't have these huge discords where people are just trying to pump their collections and it's just like blah, 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 blah. If you can create these like private isolated things for your holders and stuff, I think it means a lot. And if you're coming out into the space and you're new and you don't have the budget and stuff to do these huge collections and try and pay for marketing and all that, then focusing on a smaller niche area may be the best bet. And I think that's a pretty good life hack you can use.
Well said.
I mean, yeah, pretty much echo that. Like, community is the hack. That is the key. We've got a really strong community, and it's again achieved through being active, showing up. Like, no one is not a friend. Everyone's a member of the family. Everyone's a friend. So we will speak to everyone and anyone who tweets us. Our Discord's really welcoming and friendly and positive. It's like proper rogue. There's not many that are like that. And I am also a huge advocate of singing, squeaking, and making really odd noises on spaces. Like, just being real and being yourself and being honest. And, you know, we are a docs team. People know us, so we are real. And that it helps people feel part of this family. It helps everyone feel like friends. And you know, they're not even there in a lot of cases to flip. We've got a really high retention rate because everyone just wants to be part of the family, and it's really nice.
Yeah, that's what it's about, family. Like our hashtag is FutureFam.
Well, mine's Flower Fam.
Flower Fam, FutureFam, there we go. There's a collaboration going to happen at some point, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, it's amazing just seeing how just tightly knit the NFT community is, and there's so many different communities. Influencers build their communities, and different brands build their communities, and it really feels like the NFT communities are trailblazing in the realm of what it means to be committed to each other and the project at its core.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not just like there's individual like communities, but then there's like the NFT community as a whole. And as a community as a whole, like we're all, that's where WAGMI came from. Sometimes it's a bit sickly sweet. There's a bit too much WAGMI, but I mean.
Never enough.
Never enough. Okay. No, yeah, like I feel like as a community as a whole, I've never been part of such a welcoming and progressive like community as a whole. So it's really fun.
Yeah, we see that a lot in our space. Like a lot of projects will do collabs with each other. Like we've done 15 collabs with different artists and projects where we'll like make a custom NFT, like, and they'll do a custom NFT. We auction most of because ours is a gradual mint, so we don't do like one big mint. It was over like 20 weeks. We auction 90% of them on Twitter, just because the marketplaces we use just doesn't have as much activity, so we rely on like Twitter and Discord to do that. And the collaboration you see of artists wanting to support each other and get involved, it's a really amazing space.
I mean, what else do I say apart from wag me? I could sing.
I mean, we flew out 5 of our community members to Paris last month for the NFT conference that was going on. And because we're like a VR film company, we want to onboard as many people from NFT space into VR. So we took them to the Notre Dame VR experience and a source of a cross-pollination of VR and AR at the Natural History Museum in Paris. So the hack was meeting people in real life from Twitter and Discord, going out for dinner and having beers with people. I mean, like that was crazy to finally talk to. That was the first time I'd spoken about NFTs with NFT people outside of online. Because when I try and speak to people about NFTs outside of this space, they just blank face and they're like, right, they zone out and walk away. So it was nice.
I honestly think that's so important. The in real life, like Bridge, and we do similar stuff. Like 3 weeks ago, we did. It's called Kusama King's Day in Amsterdam, national holiday. So we ended up like 26 of us going, and we only have a community of there's 110 NFTs. So it's pretty high hit rate. Put on like a meal one night, everyone met each other, beers, and then we hired a boat, went down the canal for King's Day, and like you getting like people message after being like, look, I connected with people I haven't done for years, like this has really helped me come out my shell and stuff, and like stuff like that. It goes beyond like the online NFT stuff. It's actually adding like real value to people's lives, which is it's incredible. So I think that in real life stuff, if you can make it happen, is super important and an extra bit of utility for those communities.
Yeah, totally. It's funny because when you say blank face, I think the American sentiment is either that or people are like, whoa, teach me how to get pictures of cats on the internet for like $1 million and sell them for like exorbitant amounts. So yeah, it's really interesting how like the reputation of the space has kind of been built on like the potential of how much these JPEGs can grow in value.
People get caught up on the money aspect of things.
Yeah.
And it was never about that in the Clubhouse days. It was about the connection and the community and one artists. And then all of a sudden, obviously the punks had existed since 2017, but the generative projects didn't catch on till Bored Apes. And before that, it was just one artist, photographers like Dario De Sena and Eddie Gangland and all that, just connecting. We were all in Clubhouse, so that was what it was all about. And to try and continue to have that now in a different market now. I mean, I'm sure you'll understand, like, it's completely changed, but
Yeah, and I think it's good now. You can't, and like the hype of like the cat and the money, and those are the headlines, but you can't just get away with releasing a PFP NFT anymore. Like people expect more, people demand more, which is good in the space in a way, even though it's like massively demanding on creators, but it creates people to innovate and add these new utilities and stuff, and that's just going to keep continuing, and then people will add this utility and people get bored of that, and then it will just keep growing, and you'll end up in this space with incredible value being given back to the purchasers of these things.
Yeah, it's like not just having like metaverse utility, like real life utility as well. We're doing like a big event as part of NFT NYC, and we're collaborating with a few brands for like real life products. So it's bringing people together, and it's more than just a JPEG. No, I'm not disrespecting the cats because I'm here for the cats. But it's not just about JPEGs, it's about innovation and utility. And as you've said, like through COVID, I think it's, COVID has obviously been the worst thing ever, but it's made people really value the community, and without it, we wouldn't have like such dedicated families, because people would be going outside, which is just like a really wild concept. But yeah, it's been the worst, but it's also made a lot of these projects what they are, because without the community, you're like nothing. Like well, that sounds a bit savage, but not nothing.
It's true though.
That's true. If
Okay,
you
nothing.
held all the
it's
Flower
true.
Girl NFTs, then it wouldn't be anything.
You know,
I would have power.
Yeah, so you need everyone else
I don't
to
think
hold
it's
it.
a bad thing. I'd be like,
a sentence we thought we'd never say. I'm grateful for COVID. Like, this would not exist. I mean, the crypto wouldn't have gone up. NFTs wouldn't have existed. So, I mean, you've got to take the positive from the negatives. And, you know, that you've got to take that in the whole
there's
space.
a lot of COVID puns we could have made in there.
Yeah.
The positives and
Oh,
the negatives.
let's not go down that road. It's fine. We've had enough of that.
So yeah, greatest surprise and greatest challenge in building communities.
Greatest what, sorry?
Surprise.
Prize.
I mean, not a bad surprise, but a nice surprise has been like how nice people genuinely have been. You know, you see a lot of really negative communities and people fudding and just them bad trolls. But as community, you know, you have the odd occasion, but you know, it's healthy to have that. It's healthy to have that alternative perspective sometimes, as long as it's not just like savage and there's no need for it, you know what I mean? But yeah, how nice people have been, how supportive people have been, and how it goes so much more. It's not just a project, it goes so much further beyond that. And as someone who's quite new to all this, and you know, I've not really been in the space very long. I think I'm like a December. I'm like a New Year NFT. That was my New Year's vibe. But for me, it is different, like from what I would have expected, to have people who are just like nice and normal people, and people in our community as well who are really into charity and giving back. And it's just, and also because we're like flowers, and you know, we're known as, I think some people called us the weird pollination people, and I am here. I am representing the weird pollination vibes. But because it's like flowers and stuff like that, people share like their real life gardens, and they're sharing gardening tips and like well-being tips and stuff. And it goes so much further than just being a group of people who love JPEGs.
Yeah, biggest surprise, I think, for us as our project was we'd been bidding since October time, and then it got to our mint in February, and we were minting for 2 or 3 days, and it was slow to begin with. Then a whale bought 300 of them. We appeared on Icy Tools. We then get a message from Murat Pak saying, "This looks interesting, tell me more." So we told him all about the project, and then he tweeted about the project. We sold out in 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden, the community that we did have, all of a sudden there was this like thousands of people just coming into our Discord that we weren't necessarily ready for. So there was just all this onslaught of people, and it was like, oh, I just heard about this on Twitter, and then we were on the Nifty Alpha show, and then it just went haywire. Like we all lost our voices because we were like burnt out from weeks and weeks, well, months and months of like trying to sell the project, like and talk about it and like everything. And then all of a sudden, soul's out, and you're like what to do? Like, but that was a surprise. Like my heart was like.
Sounds like a good challenge.
Yeah,
well.
it was great. Yeah, that's what we've been working on since Mint, is like managing this influx of people that came in, and it's been such a learning curve and a fantastic like experience.
I think for us the biggest challenge is from being from a very small ecosystem and trying to draw people in from the ETH communities and just spreading the word and trying to relay like the tech that's going on here and bringing people in. Coming from me, it's harder because it just looks like I'm a founder of a project being like, come by my project, like shilling it. And the biggest surprise that came with that is, and I guess it's expected in a way, but the people who bought the NFTs, and because our community grew over time, we did 10 in the first week, so there's 10 holders, and then it grows and grows and grows, is they take it upon themselves to become the marketers, and they're the best marketers out. I can't market it as well as they can. You're going to feel way better someone holding an NFT coming up to you being like, mate, you need to join this. This is kicking off. Like, it's amazing. If I come in your DM, like, look, I made this NFT. It's kicking off. It's amazing. You'll be like, okay, next. So the biggest surprise was how much people take it upon themselves to promote the project and feel part of it. And it's about, I guess, as a founder, making them feel part of it and making them feel involved, involving them in decisions and the governance stuff. And then it becomes everyone's project and everyone has that vested interest. And then it's easier to start bringing in people from different ecosystems and stuff. But for us, that's definitely the biggest challenge, is trying to get ETH communities, Solana communities into this niche NFT community.
I mean, you said out there about how they're demanding stuff from you every week, and that's that's insane. So it's the supply to the demand, it's usually the other way around. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the gradual mint approach was it's different, right? Because you are restricting supply every week, so that's how you can do the auctions and people bidding up in the auctions, because there's a queue of people wanting these things, and you just drip feed them one every other day and stuff. So
Genius.
very different strategy. But yeah, it's how you, and it's good because people who back it at the start, the auction prices go up over time. So if you backed it and you were in early, you got it cheap, and then each week you saw it go up and up and up and up, and then everyone feels good about themselves because they got in early and they've like seen a return on their investment. And one of the things we did was we didn't promise anything at the start. It was just like an NFT project and a private community. And then over time, we add the utility and we get people access to private rounds. And we added a fund behind it that will pay people out, not a dividend because then it's a security, but we'll give people money away every quarter for the mutual investment fund we created for it. So adding those things over time then also delivers the people who backed you early, rather than releasing a roadmap at the start, being like, we're going to do this, we're going to do a fund, we'll get you this, and hyping it up for the people at the start. You can reward your holders over time by adding that stuff later.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I think a major question for a lot of people in the space, especially people who are just starting with NFT community building, is how to deal with FUD.
Why did you look at me? Healthy conversations. Like, you can't just immediately shut someone down and be like, nah, block them, get the ban hammer out. You've got to sort of listen to the concerns, and if there is something valid in what they're saying, work on it, action it. Don't just, some people do just FUD for FUD's sake, and I'm always a big thing of don't feed the trolls. I just leave them to it, send them a thumbs up, and I'm on my way. But I mean, that's my approach. But yeah, not all FUD is bad. Like, I think having some alternative opinions, if they're phrased in a nice way and not just a horrible burn, is quite healthy, and you should engage with it a little bit, but not feed into it too much. Take the criticism. If it's something that you can change it. If it's not, be like, all right, sound, and then off you go.
Yeah, there's so many variations of FUD, and sometimes it's just critical thinking, sometimes it's general trolling, like you said. Like,
I love a troll.
Just acknowledge it and find, the people FUD the project and say, oh, the project's dead and all this, and so you just be like, well, have you been to our Twitter Spaces? Have you entered our raffles? Have you entered our competitions? Have you been active on Twitter? What have you brought to our community as well? Like, you want to, from a community member, it's not just an investment of their ETH, it's an investment of their time and their energy into the project. Like, we want people that we can work with together, and like you said, if we're a family, we're all in it together, right? If ETH goes down, we're all affected, so we're all in the same space.
Support as well, isn't it? Like a network of people. I mean, you've got that one
Give
negative Nancy kicking off.
Give FUD a hug. There you go.
That's how you do. That's the best answer.
Yeah,
hug it.
Come here. It's
hug
okay.
it out.
You're all in your emotions. It's okay. Just chill. It's fine.
I guess that's the other advantage of a smaller community and stuff. You don't see as many random people coming and fudding and stuff. But I think if you guys know as a team that there isn't any skeletons in the closet and you're continuing to build, then you can take comfort in the fact that over time the work will prove itself, and that will get rid of the FUD. There's always going to be haters, no matter what, even if you're successful. So I think if you just continue to build and you know what mission you're on, then you can just blank them out. Is my advice.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask what's the worst bit of FUD you've had?
So with the auctions and stuff, I'd get people who didn't win. They'd be like, "These are rigged. This is properly rigged." And we'd do giveaways. At the start, we did giveaways for some of the rarest ones. And we were like, "How do we make these a bit fun rather than the Twitter pickers?" So we put names in. It was Halloween week. Put names in a pumpkin and picked one out. People was like, "You rigged that." I was like, I literally don't know any of these people. I did not. But that's the kind of stuff we started to get. So then we just went to the Twitter picker because you can't really. But then still people will be like, "Are you sure?"
There's always a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I imagine addressing it with that transparency of this is how we're doing it on the back end. And if you think it's rigged, then here's our algorithm for randomization. Enjoy.
I think for us, some of the FUDding, it wasn't even directly at us, but a few celebrities bought Flower Girls. We didn't ask them to, we didn't pay them to, they just did it because they love the art like we do. And one celebrity who got really badly trolled was poor old Brie Larson. She got roasted. And because of her getting roasted, we were obviously in her mentions and it kept coming up. Literally, I got a mention from someone this morning, and this was weeks ago, and they're still fuming at Brie for buying these NFTs, and they're accusing her of starting wars. It's quite entertaining, really. But it's like a lot of the thing is it's the lack of education and the lack of trust that people have in NFTs and crypto and the space. And as they become more mainstream and as people start to understand more and we talk about them more and more in like layman's terms rather than being like, because I can't cope with all these abbreviations, you know. But like, as we educate, I feel the FUD sort of goes down. But that was the worst because we had a lot of DMs like, you should delete your account, lol. That wasn't a really bad one. I'm not going to say the really bad ones because I'll probably get removed off the stage, although it would be a fun challenge. But anyway, that was our worst one.
Yeah, so it's so fascinating seeing how quickly this whole ecosystem evolves. And as you were pointing out, like community is truly everything. So I'm curious where you see the community being in 5 months, a year, and even 5 years from now.
I think going back to our point about in real life events, I think that's going to become a massive part of it. Especially, like we said, this kind of exploded in COVID. That wasn't a possibility, but I think...
It's the best trademark ever. Exploded in COVID.
Did I say that?
Is that rhyme?
Nice, take it. We'll have that.
Nice.
But I think then, and like the Bored Ape Yacht Club kind of did really well with this, and being able to host those events and do that, Doodles do it pretty well. I think it's going to become a massive... People love getting together. Like, we're all here for that reason now, and having these events and building those communities and allowing NFTs to get you access to these sort of things, I think are the ones that are going to survive really long term, because that's how you build the strongest communities in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, with the correlation between the advancement of VR technology and NFTs at the same time was kind of why we entered the space. And before we even had an NFT project, we'd hold real-life VR events. So to continue to do that, I mean, we're a VR film and content company, so that's what we'll be doing forever, I guess. And like in 5 months' time, we'll still be managing the NFT stuff, but we'll also have IRL events as well. So you know, you've got to plan for the long term, and like you said, the Web 2, Web 3 bridging, because at the moment it's a bit divided sometimes, but then when it brings together, it's good. We can't be fully in one just yet. I don't know how that would work, and I don't think it would work. It probably someone can FUD me on that for sure, but like we'll, you know. Go for it.
Yeah, and I think it will attract newer people into the space when they see a lot of people don't understand NFTs, but maybe people start to see NFTs and festivals and things like this, and it starts becoming more apparent what they're about, and then it bridges them in, and they kind of get the other stuff. And if creators are adding stuff over time and building utility past the mint and stuff, then that's how you're going to engage and keep your community and stop that FUD, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess over time we've got plans, you know. We've recently partnered with Dolphin Entertainment, and they've got like an in-house as well marketing team. So our plans, we have quite a lot. We would like to sort of take what we're doing and the educational part of like the pollination and the stuff that we incorporate, the ecosystem within our NFTs, and sort of use that to educate. A big part of our project is about kids and children and supporting child artists around the world. So we'd like to sort of get into children's books and educate and, you know, give back to people in real life as well as in the old metaverse. And we've got loads of plans. We've got our event. We've got a lot of stuff we can't talk about as well. We just got involved with a music festival actually with Pepsi last week with Mary J. Blige, and the Strength of a Woman festival. Our artist Vavara created this is a great word for me to say, POAP. A POAP. A POAP. I always love to like experiment with how I'm going to say that today. And she did that for everyone who attended the event. So that's a great way of, again, getting them into mainstream, it becoming like a thing. You go to a festival and you get airdrop to POAP.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the degens and the NFT community probably don't understand what goes into building a business from like outside of the NFT world. And I mean, I'm here today because our founders are in Turkey, in Istanbul, and they're meeting with GQ Turkey for events that we've got planned at the end of the month. So like we want to go down the fashion route. We want to go down the hosting a VR platform where people can access movies, because that's kind of what our niche was with the movies. So, I mean, there's all that long-term planning that obviously the NFT people want it right now because it's such a fast-paced environment. So people want like results yesterday, like 10 years ago. Like, they want it now. Like, and so it's, yeah, when we're trying to calm down that sort of short attention span that people have. I mean, I'm guilty of it as well. When I'm looking at projects for my own personal, looking into stuff, I do the same. So knowing that I'm like that myself and being self-aware of that is easier to deal with people who are doing the same. And it just take a breath sometimes, and you know that there is a long-term plan. I mean, the space is only a year and a half old.
Yeah.
Less than that, isn't it? So
it's amazing. Yeah. So as an experienced designer, I think a lot of like the anatomy of a great IRL event has come from the intuition of attending such a broad spectrum of events. I built my career in San Francisco. I had a lot of friends who are top-level tech entrepreneurs, like true visionaries designing the future of mainstream tech. And a lot of them created these otherworldly experiences to be able to decompress from the pressure of their day-to-day. And I think even Elon Musk, for example, has a reputation of like throwing these events in Cabo that had unlimited budget with the goal of like transforming people to really feel that deeper experience of the future. And so I'm curious to learn about like what you think the anatomy is of a good IRL event.
Have any of us held one yet?
we're here, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you like this.
Well, the VR events that we did before we did the NFT project were really successful. So, I mean, it's just onboarding our NFT community into those. And like we said, we flew some of our community to Paris last month. So there's all these events going on right now that we can attend and bring people along, because not only are there's our community, like I said, it's the global community of the whole crypto space. So there might be someone who comes along. Yesterday I met one of the people working here, and they gave me some alpha on a project that I don't know about. So like it's all happening right now. These are the events that we need to be at so we can meet like-minded people and friends. So.
Yeah, for sure. I'm no event planner, and the events we're doing for our community are nice and simple, just about bringing people together, having some drinks, having some food, some music, and I think that's kind of all you need. These things are incredible, and like bringing communities, and we've invited like our community to this, and we're doing a lunch tomorrow and leveraging off that, and I think it's just about being around like-minded people, and like you say, like meeting people, sharing ideas, and that helps to spark. You can't spark the same ideas, I don't think, as well online. So being able to bring all these creatives and people together in one place and bounce off each other, I think is really important to events like this.
Yeah. Also, like listening to input of holders and people within the community, like what they would like to see from an event, like what they would want to get out of an event. You know, not being like too flexible, but making sure people can come and giving people enough notice and just taking different things into account. I love events, but I've only ever planned like, boozy in real life events. So I'm probably not the best, but it's just giving it that real feel as well, not just being like, we're a load of strangers on the internet who've never met each other before, like giving that sense of community so that when people come together, they feel comfortable coming together, especially if they're just traveling somewhere on their own and they're meeting all these people and it's a bit overwhelming, like listening to people's concerns and trying to overcome that, just like you would in this is real life, and what you would do in a real life.
The booze does help. If you're having a drink, it definitely helps.
I mean, probably don't come to any of my events if you treasure your liver in any way, but if not, you won't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to Nirmala from The Fabricant about this yesterday, and we're kind of breaking this down of what makes a great IRL event. And so often there's kind of this like autopilot that happens when people are experiencing things in like the normal spectrum of what they expect. But if you make it like either very weird and like pattern disrupt it in almost a bad way, for example, she was describing this performance of like dancers that ended up like urinating on stage, and it was like so ridiculous that it caught everyone's attention and everyone was talking about it.
Yeah.
But then on the positive end of that spectrum, events that are pushing the boundaries. They're more sensory, not just the average happy hour, but something that's really engaging the mind in a new way. And so it's interesting, like, I think as we're entering the world and integrating back into community after this pandemic, it's like what IRL events will stand out and guide these communities into truly deeper relationships and experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So get people to wee on stage. No.
Not sure
Not
I'm
a
going to
block
but the sensory stuff's quite interesting. We were talking about our event's going to be in the Midnight Theatre in NYC, and we were talking about having some kind of sensory element because, you know, flowers, fragrance, like textures, being able to walk in and like not just see something, but like sort of feel it and like engage with it, like as well as seeing a JPEG, you know, there's so much more to it and there's so much you can explore. It's really easy to just get sort of lost in ideas, but I think to stand out and get people to want to come to your events, you do need to have a bit of a niche. It can't just be, although I would go if it was just an open bar, not everyone would, so you've got to have something to bring them in. So we're thinking of like doing like a children's art display for the art that we collect, because we did like 5% of our proceeds we'll spend into buying children's art, and then we're going to do a big exhibition, and just having things that keep it interesting, relatable, but different. And we're not doing the urinating thing, I'm telling you now. Might have worked well for me, but it's not for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to see how the crypto NFT Web3 ecosystem evolves, because some of the events I've been to just seem very cut and dry. I went to NFT LA, it was in this just super ugly building, like gray everywhere. You know, here's a sponsor area, here's the speaker area, like good luck, network, do your thing. And I think the more that communities can be guided into excavating those deeper gems, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether, you know, it's something deeper than that. I think there's a lot of potential, especially because Web3 is really trailblazing. There's that incentive to create better IRL events.
I mean, we're about to go on a boat later on. Like no other NFT event or crypto event I've been to has that. So I mean, Erhan's done a great job organizing that, right? I mean, that's insane. Like if I'd have thought a year and a half ago, like NFT, that I'd be in my favorite country, going on a yacht, talking about NFT on a stage, talking to everyone, I'd have been like, no, you're chatting shit.
Totally. Just wait till we're like partying in a castle tomorrow night.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, it's insane. I was a postman and a photographer, and now this has changed everything. So these IRL events are so important because then we've
inspires.
Yeah, it's so inspiring, and that's how you onboard people like the noobs and the normies, because you show them that this is what it's about. Like it's about like innovating and doing all this fun stuff. It's not just crypto. Oh no, it's gone down. It's like we can have fun with it, even if Luna has gone down. Sorry about that. Like we you know, you can still have fun. It's fine. Like there's a fun aspect to it.
Yeah, I think networking as a word as well is like quite a Web 2 phrase, isn't it? When you hear you're going to a networking event, you just think of loads of people in suits trying to sell you stuff, and you're like, nah. So it's like making things, you know, it's Web 3, it's new, we're reinventing things. So it's networking, but it's not really, is it? It is, don't get me wrong, but it's like meeting people. It's not networking where your only goal is to go and like sell something or buy something or like go back to your boss and be like, oh, I've met 12 new people, I'm going to email them with a sales sheet or something. That's like quite a... It's not what this is it? We're going on a boat. We're going on a champagne catamaran, our boy Bobby said. So that's...
Right.
The networking events I've been to in real life, I've not had a catamaran with champagne, I'll tell you that.
This might be might be a generalization, but I also feel people in this space and Web3 are much happier in their jobs. And when you go to like Web 2 networking events, all the ones I used to go to in my corporate life, like a lot of people didn't even want to be there. So to get the energy and like have that energy to be there and network is way harder. Whereas here, pretty much everyone who's here will want to be here and is loving what they're doing. So I think that obviously helps. And you see a lot of people leaving traditional jobs now and moving to Web3. I don't hear anyone going back. And that's a massive sign, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the transition into Web3 has really attracted such a diverse community of people. And I mean, at least speaking for myself, I was deeply involved in beauty tech. I built an AI for Benefit Cosmetics and transitioned to design a new social media with top influencer Michelle Phan, and mentored with one of the top digital strategists in the world for 2 years with that company. And there was just like such a clear path for great success in beauty tech, and complete 180 when I saw what was happening in Web3. And I think just like the potential for innovation, how quickly things move, and how the politics are, it's not as political as these older industries, and I think that allows for much more innovation.
And a lot more like inclusivity as well, a lot more accessibility. Like the people that you meet, they're going to be like-minded people. They're striving for accessibility, for equality, for diversity and stuff, which is such important. You know, Web 2 is just so stuck in the past. Web 3, you know, and that kind of vibe. Yeah, that's, you know, you meet people like that, don't you? I don't really know where I was going with that. I just got really, you know, them 3 words. I'm ad-libbing. I'll start rapping in a minute. Shut me down.
Yeah. Well, I think touching back on, you know, building those communities and the NFT ecosystem, like really understanding who's there, right? And understanding like who's in those discords, like the major upside you experience from being a photographer, postman, to now being a leader and having that potential to really step into that power and giving that to others. I think that mobility is really what is attracting so many people into this ecosystem.
Yeah. It definitely is amazing, like, because our community comes into Discord, and we employed 8 mods who can now work in Web3, and they were a community, and it, you know, this whole space provides jobs. In a time when inflation's going up, there's people are like worrying about their finances and everything. We've applied, like, given people jobs and stuff. I mean, like, that's amazing, right? Like, this technology has inspired us and everyone to create this new thing, and it's like, this would not have existed 20 years ago. Like, it's just mind-blowing. Like, it's really cool. The impact that you can make on everyone, like, it's cool.
And how quickly it moves as well.
Yeah.
Hey?
How quickly it all moves and develops and stuff. You think about it, like 20 years ago, we were like living with fax machines. Now look at us. Fax machines, no.
For sure. Well, thank you all so much. It's the end of our time now. I hope you enjoyed this panel, and we will see you again later, hopefully on this
on
champagne
a boat.
catamaran.
On a boat.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.